This is a magical moment. The Pope has arrived right over my right shoulder. There he is. Behind him, Governor Cuomo, Cardinal Dolan, the mayor of New York City, Mayor de Blasio. All right, right now we are talking to Ana Maria Gonzalez. She has family in Puerto Rico that she hasn't heard from yet. Ana Maria, first, we're so sorry. And let me say first in Espanol, esperamos que todos estén a salvo, okay? Governor Cuomo, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us this afternoon. We're at the first day of the track repairs at Penn Station. A couple of weeks ago, you coined the phrase, this could be a summer of hell. Do you still stand by that?
It was a graphic term, summer.
Is there a contingency plan if this were to go into the fall, say if it does go past September? Because I know a lot of people may have vacations. We do have reduced ridership right now, but what is the plan if this manifests itself into September?
Yeah, no, so we would have to keep doing what we're doing.
Joe, you played such an iconic character on The Sopranos, but a lot of people may not know that you, before even acting, you were a chef and a pretty renowned one. Tell me about that.
It truly is my first love. I, in New York, opened up a restaurant in Brooklyn.
And got this little role on some show you may not have heard of.
I don't know if you ever heard of it.
It's called The Sopranos. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Sex and the City.
And Jerry, I know you were involved in H.W. Bush's. We talked about this earlier. His campaign in 1988, he got about 59% of the white vote and won like 400 electoral votes. Right. Mitt Romney, 2012, fast forward, 59% of the white vote, only gets 200 electoral votes. Our demographic, our country is changing. Why are we seeing the numbers tighten as they are right now?
Suffolk County has historically been...
Do you feel safe in your schools right now?
In my school, Ward Melville, I do feel safe.
What are some of the solutions that schools should be looking at?
In terms of looking at it proactively, trying to identify from the very families of your community.
Matthew, how do you feel about that? Let's say you came from a troubled home, you come to school, your counselor calls you in and says, I'm going to have to do a home visit.
I don't know. I can't relate to that situation because that's not something that's directly affected me, but I can tell you.
Should we have armed guards? I know that you're in favor of this.
The security personnel who are...
Well, police are used to hearing all sorts of excuses when they pull people over, but this may be a first. Officers in Wyoming pulled this man, Bryant Johnson, over for a suspicion of DUI. Now, if you don't recognize him, we shouldn't at all, because he apparently is a time traveler.
Yeah.
He said he had come from the year 2048 to warn all of us of an impending alien invasion. That's why we don't recognize him. He says in order for aliens had to fill his body with booze, and then he had to stand on a giant pad. That's how he transports himself through time. That's apparently how the aliens do it. Joining me now is Suffolk GOP Chairman John J. Laval and former Suffolk Executive Pat Halpin. Let's start with, appreciate your time first off. So he said this is going to be a unifying speech. John, let's start with you. Do you expect that?
Yes, I do.
Bipartisan?
Absolutely.
Reaching across the aisle?
The president understands that in order to get anything done,
we'd have the budget done.
Okay, now let me ask you this. I'll put this question to both of you here. Start with you, John, because you talked about how he can unify people and bring Chuck Schumer. He has done that in the past, but he's also called him crying Chuck Schumer. So how does he expect to reach across the aisle and get the trust that he needs for a bipartisan deal?
Because at the end of the day, it's about the issues.
All right, Craig, here we got the blackened alligator. We've got the South Carolina slaw. Oh, I don't see you eating. That is fantastic. Oh my God. A little bit of a bite to it too. That's why it's good gator. Good evening, thanks for joining us. I'm Stone Grissom. Tonight, police say they've broken up a massive heroin ring that stretched from the Bronx to Suffolk County. News 12 Long Island's Alicia Laventure has the details. We learned today that investigators busted a second heroin ring in Suffolk earlier this year. Now, police say in that case, Airville St. Louis of Queens sold high-quality so-called heavy heroin to a Brentwood man. St. Louis was held on $25 million cash bail. He is due back in court next month. An Oceanside pilot faces harassment charges after allegedly calling the town of Hempstead's supervisor's office and threatening two employees with a crossbow. As we've reported, 70-year-old Harold Goretzky had been part of an ongoing dispute with the town. Last summer, he parked his plane, you see it right there, in his driveway. Well, last week, officials sent crews to take that plane apart. While the Suffolk executive assessing State of the County tonight. Steve Ballone making the issue of water quality a top priority.
This is literally the moment that we can turn the tide.
Ballone says it's critical to expand sewer systems in Suffolk. He wants to pay for that by adding a surcharge on water usage. It would be $1 extra per 1,000 gallons, generating $74 million every year. The county executive also spoke out about the ongoing effort to deal with the growing heroin crisis and street violence.
The police department has a...
Ballone says a new tip line that homeowners can call to report suspected drug houses is already making a big impact. That number is 631-852-NARC-NARC. Coming up next on 12, a Comac ice cream shop robbed at knife point. Could this incident be related to a string of knife point robberies in Nassau? Plus, a FedEx employee caught on camera allegedly tossing customers packages. What the shipping company says it's doing to address that problem. That's next on News 12 Long Island, as local news gets.